listeners, please be aware that the views and opinions expressed on this radio program are those of the host or guest and do not reflect the views of Christian Nation FM. Dear listeners, please be aware that the views and opinions expressed on this radio program are those of the host or guest and do not reflect the views of Christian Nation FM.
You are about to listen to The Chambers, a good governance program on Christian Nation Radio. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you very much for joining us for yet another exciting edition of The Chambers, a governance platform on Christian Nation FM. This is a program where we discuss governance issues to do with the governance of this country. This morning, we are privileged to feature Honorable Brian Mundubile. He is aspiring presidential candidate for the PF. And so we are going to discuss issues with the governance, looking at the political environment and rule of law under the New Dawn administration. What is the future for the opposition in Zambia? It is my pleasure to introduce our guests. Good morning, Honorable, and welcome to the Chambers on Christian Nation FM.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mebin. I'm very glad to be here this morning.
It's our tradition when we bring a guest for the very first time on our program, we just give them time to briefly just introduce themselves to our listeners. So maybe briefly, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Honorable Brian Mundubile? People I know, they have heard you on radio, they have seen you on TV, in parliament, debating, but maybe they would like, our audience specifically would like to hear more a little bit about who is Brian Mundubile.
Yes, thank you, Mebin. Brian Mundubile, Brian Muntayalwa Mundubile, abbreviated as BM8, is the current Member of Parliament from Porokoso. I've been a Member of Parliament since 2016. I served as Provincial Minister of the Northern Province between 2016 and 2019, and later became Government Chief Whip from 2019 to 2021. After the PF lost elections, I was appointed as Leader of Opposition, a position under which I served for between 2021 and 2023. I served in a number of committees, both in Parliament and in the party. I was the chairman for legal in the PF for 7 years. I have served in different committees of Parliament, including the Standing Orders Committee, Government Assurances Committee, Absences Committee, and of course many other committees. I am a presidential aspiring candidate for 2026 as I appear before you this morning.
Right. Yes, indeed, dear listeners, I hope you have heard a little bit about who we are featuring this morning, Honorable Brian Mundubile, and I'm your host, Maybe Augustine Katungulu. I do hope we're going to have a fruitful conversation right here on the Chambers. After a bit of discussion with our hosts, as usual, we'll be able to give you time that you call and be able to participate on our program. Thank you very much for joining us on different platforms. You are listening to us via Radio Garden and Zeno FM, as well as watching us on our Facebook page, that is Christian Nation FM 106.5. Right, having said that, but the members say, which confidence of in a village when an elephant has died or someone has killed an elephant, then the issue in that village will be all about that elephant. On Monday, the 5th of January, you were part of the people that escorted Archbishop ALICK BANDA to answer some charges before the Drug Enforcement Commission. Maybe I would like to hear your comment on this matter. You were part of that procession. So when you look at this issue, what is just your take on this matter, that the Archbishop is under investigations regarding a vehicle. And you were part of that, and people were trying to say maybe that there was the politicians were trying to hijack this matter, which involved the Archbishop of Lusaka.
Yes, thank you. I would like to take you back to history. It's always important to refer to history as you look at current affairs. The church has always played a role in our governance systems. Many a time, whenever politicians have failed to come together to agree on something, we've always gone and run back to the church. This runs back maybe even as far back as 1990, 1991. It took the church to bring the late President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, our first president, to come together with other opposition leaders to chart the way forward for the country. We have always gone back to the church, and the church has always played a key role. And specifically, the Council of Bishops. The Catholic Church, maybe, and the Oasis Forum have taken specific interest in a number of matters within our country, especially those that relate to constitutionalism and indeed protection of human rights. So what we have seen, what many have seen in the recent past, is that there's been some differences between the bishops, the Oasis Forum, and government, especially to do with constitutional reforms. The recent constitutional amendment bill that came through Bill 7.
The famous Bill 7.
The famous Bill 7 brought a number of differences. But what many people did not realize is that just 5 years back, President Hakainde Hichilema was a regular visitor of Kapingila House, where he continued to engage the bishops, engaging them over Constitutional Amendment Bill number 10. I was in those meetings. I was government chief whip then. I was actually in charge of negotiating with opposition political parties, including the UPND. The idea at that time was that President Lungu had advised to say constitution making is about consensus building, building trust, being able to elicit support, hear the views of others, is what you may term as some negotiated settlement. Constitution making is not a preserve of the few. It's about the participation of the majority. Now, political parties play a key role because they're representatives of the people. So during that time, President Hakainde Hichilema emphasized the importance of the role that the church played, and especially the bishops. So I, for one, was very surprised when he decided to take a totally different approach when it came to dealing with the church insofar as constitutional reforms were concerned. And even what was more surprising was that his government began to attack the church merely because they were opposed to the manner and form with which he wanted to reform the constitution. So what happened on Monday was just a continuation. It was an aftermath because President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND government, they failed to recover from the position that the church took in the Bill 7 matter. So when the bishop was summoned over a matter that we all know about, a matter that we thought would have been resolved by now, we felt that this was continued persecution. To make matters worse, the Minister of Home Affairs, in the name of Jack Mwimbu, he went to the media to threaten citizens, as they've always done, forgetting that this is a constitutional democracy. And in a constitutional democracy, there are basically two things that you look at. Number one is representation. Number two is protection of human rights. So when he was going against the guaranteed rights of citizens, threatening to arrest whoever was going to march and accompany the bishop to DEC, we decided to dare them. We took a decision, a very strong decision, because then we realized as a country we were...
don't you think that was a risky decision that you undertook?
I'll tell you something, maybe. Freedoms don't come easily. The independence that we enjoy today, I'm proud to speak to you. As I speak to you, I'm a son of a freedom fighter. My father fought for this freedom. He went out there. He was one of the people that were in and out of prison. I'm proud to stand and seek for political power because my father was a freedom fighter, John Chilambo Mundubile. It's there. You check and you find them. So coming from that background, I know for sure that if we're going to liberate this country, if we're going to leave a clean country for our children, we have to take certain risks. We know that the UPND do not follow the rule of law. We knew that they would attempt to pick us and throw us in cells, but we're ready. And I'm sure that if you go to the pictures, you realize that we actually dressed for the occasion. But what was important was to come out and give full support to the bishop, walk with him to DEC, and send a message to the state that I think Zambians have had it. They have had it. The past 4 years, there's been no freedom of speech, freedom of association. The democratic space is simply non-existent. So what sort of a country do we want to have? As a leader, as a person who's aspiring to lead the country, am I going to continue to sit back even when I see that the government in power today is violating the constitution, violating the rights of citizens? The answer is no.
Now, Honorable, the president and his government has been emphasizing on one issue, and I think they rose to power on one issue, or one of the issues were issue of rule of law. And one would say what happened on Monday, where Archbishop of Lusaka was summoned, that was the issue of rule of law, that no one is above the law. But you want to insinuate that there was harassment of the Archbishop. So maybe just justify what you're trying to tell us.
Yeah, maybe just to remind you, maybe, that the same president and the same ministers who are talking about the rule of law are the same ones who disrespected the Concord judgment in Bill 7. So, you've got to be very careful. Sometimes we feel very sorry for our colleagues in government today. In Bemba, we have the saying, "Insoni Ubuntu." As a human being, sometimes there are certain things you just don't say. You can't talk about the rule of law. The President Hakainde Hichilema does not possess the moral right to talk about the rule of law. There's a Concord judgment and he just disobeys it. Later goes behind, they're trying to filing a counter petition for the court to vacate that position. So when you talk about the rule of law, you should also talk about respecting court judgments. Okay? It should not just be a rule of law when you want to punish innocent citizens. Yeah, so I don't think anyone in the UPND today possesses the moral right to talk about the rule of law. Yeah. So the point really that I make there is that Zambians stood, men and women. They courageously walked to DEC. And as you saw them, they were all resolved. They were all ready, to be punished. So that was right.
Yeah, but one thing I've noted even on social media, people have commended the police that they really executed their duty diligently. They allowed you people to freely, escort the Archbishop, and they're saying this was a demonstration that the police service that we have, they are professional.
I'll tell you that there was nothing unusual the police did. They just did what they were supposed to do.
But we have seen what they have done to, other gatherings. But this was unusual.
There's the answer. What has been unusual is what they have been doing all along. Okay? Taking away the rights of citizens. You've actually twisted. What they did that day was the correct thing. There was nothing unusual.
Are you able to commend them that this was a professional duty that they executed?
Like I said, there's nothing unusual. They're supposed to, what they did is that what they're supposed to do. What they shouldn't do is what they've been doing all along, harassing citizens who are marching freely. Yeah, so let's differentiate the two. The unusual events are where the police go against the Constitution. When the police have done the right thing, they've just done what they're employed for. We are taxpayers, we pay them money, okay? So don't exaggerate what they did. There's nothing unusual they did. What they did is what they're supposed to do.
No, I'm hearing what people are saying. They're commending them. They're commending the police service. So this time around, they were professional, and they must be commended.
Okay, maybe let me break it down. Maybe. You are expected to come for work every morning and report. Can you imagine what would happen? We should be clapping for you every morning you walk in and that you reported for work. That's what you're asking me to do. Okay, each time you walk in the morning at it, hey, maybe nicer, or maybe nicer. How many times are we going to do that? Are you with me? We should not clap for you because you reported for work. You're supposed to be reporting for work at 8. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, maybe my employer would award me for being a dedicated worker. So in this manner, why can't we commend the Zambia Police Service?
Should your employer award you on the first day that you reported for work at 8? Or maybe after a year of continuously reporting for work at 8? After a year, maybe we say he's been consistent. He comes to work 7:45. But not on the first day. The first day you report for work at 8, you've been late all along. Yeah? It's not supposed to be like that. Yeah.
If we have to close this matter regarding the Archbishop and going to the DC, what could be some of the issues that you observe that you think need to be talked about?
Yes, like you rightly pointed out, it's high time the police realized that under the rule of law, under our constitutional democracy, it's the rule by law and not by men. I want to tell the police that continue ignoring Jack Mwimbu. Jack Mwimbu is hungry with power. Jack Mwimbu has forgotten what he used to say when he was in opposition. Jack Mwimbu should understand that this is about the people of Zambia. Running a country is not like running a farm. He must be warned that he is in that position in his representative capacity as a minister. He is not there to take to the media and threaten Zambians. Zambians have had enough. We will not take threats anymore. Okay, we have our freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution, and we will exercise those rights as and when. He can use force, he can use power to punish. Yeah, but one day he will not be in that office, and he will definitely face the Zambian people again. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about the PF. You're coming from the PF and you're an aspiring candidate for, you want to be the, to aspire as a president under the PF ticket. But of course, we have witnessed a number of events, happening in the PF. If you are going to give hope to your followers out there, because I know there are a lot of followers out there following the PF, what hope are you giving them that someday, one day, as the PF, you're going to emerge victorious as a unit and become one PF? Because for now, as we know, that it seems that there's a split. There's no one PF. We hear there are factions in the media. We report the Given Lubinda led the PF, the Chavinga led the PF. What is just your take on what is happening in the PF, and is there any hope that at some point you're going to be one as PF?
Well, what remains a fact is that the PF is the largest political party in Zambia. The PF is bigger than the UPND as a party. This is a fact. If you ask me later how I know, I will tell you. Because PF is the largest political party in Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema became insecure. He became insecure very early and decided to take away the PF. You should never be cheated. There is no PF that is controlled by Chavinga. Chavinga is just some fellow from down the road who's there. The person controlling the PF is President Hakainde Hichilema through the courts. So you have to get the facts straight. So President Hakainde Hichilema, realizing from the beginning that he was telling lies to the Zambian people from the beginning. He lied about reducing the cost of minimum. He lied about reducing the cost of fuel. He lied about reducing the cost of fertilizer. He lied about bringing investments of up to $25 billion. He lied about everything. Before you and I realized that he was lying, he knew that his lies would soon catch up with him. What did he do? He knew that the PF would give him competition. So he clamped down on the PF very early. So what we're supposed to be doing now, with reference to your earlier question, to do with the rule of law, is you, the Zambian people, should now appeal to President Hakainde Hichilema directly to let go of the Patriotic Front. What you are seeing as challenges and problems in the PF are sponsored by President Hakainde Hichilema. And why has he sponsored them? So that there is no political party the size of the PF that can give him the real competition. But he's forgetting one thing. With the population of 21 million people, maybe, and I want to tell you that the combined membership of political parties does not go over 3 million. Put all the political parties together, the combined membership does not go over 3 million people. So there are 18 million people not belonging to any of these political parties. That's the real opposition President Hakainde Hichilema faces. The opposition that he's thinking about as only belonging to political formations is missing a point. There are 18 million Zambians that are suffering. Today, President Hakainde Hichilema, who lied to the farmers, he lied to the farmers that he was a farmer and that he was going to improve their agriculture.
He is a farmer.
Oh, well, yeah, everyone is a farmer.
Yesterday we saw him is at his farm there.
Everyone is a farmer then. Even you are a farmer.
Well, I would like maybe I'm not a farmer.
No, we're all farmers at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, so President Hakainde Hichilema went out and convinced the Zambian people that because he was a farmer, he was going to improve the agriculture sector. You remember that about 3 years ago, he went to China and he came back. He came back and talked to the farmers that he had secured market for soybeans. Farmers went all out, especially my Mbuyas in Eastern Province. They went all out and increased the hectareage of soybeans. When they harvested, there was no market. He's the same President Hakainde Hichilema now who's failing to pay farmers for the maize that they supplied some 6 months ago. Okay? So, when you're talking about the opposition, he must look at the many millions of farmers today who have not been paid money. The farmers who were lied to grow soya and they were abandoned. The farmers who were promised 8 bags and given fertilizer and medals to be the real opposition that he faces. So as you focus on the opposition, the rest of us are just representatives of the many millions of people that are out there. So clamping down on a political party will not help President Hakainde in 2026. It will not help. You will not tell me that those farmers won't wake up to go and vote out the UPND merely because he has brought confusions in the PF. As the opposition, we are all coming together. We will come together as a united opposition, find a party to field a flag bearer, and be able to stand against the UPND.
So it doesn't matter even if the UPF as a party doesn't exist, you can still, come up together as the opposition and find a flag bearer. Is that what you're telling us?
That's exactly what it is. We will not sit back. Okay, we will not sit back as leaders, merely because President Hakainde Hichilema has collapsed all institutions of governance, including the judiciary, and he's told them that he should only release the PF around July or around June, when there's really little they can do. We can't sit back. I don't think you expect us to be that down, maybe, do you? No, of course not.
Right.
Yeah, so as leaders in the opposition, we are there to save and advance the interests and aspirations of the Zambian people. The Zambians that we save are those farmers who have been lied to, the farmers that have not been paid. We save the miners today working at Mopani, who were promised that there's a new investor who has come in with a lot of money, and yet there's nothing going on at Mopani today. Those are the people that I'm speaking for this morning. The miners who are going on voluntary separation at Mopani are the ones that I'm speaking about. I'm speaking for the many Zambians who are supposed to be benefiting from what is coming out of their mineral resource. And yet your government will only talk about copper production. They don't tell you that one of the big mines is producing not less than 1 ton of gold every month. And they're not talking about that. So we are talking about the Zambian people who should benefit from this gold that is not declared and that's the real opposition. The opposition that we're talking about are the many youths on the streets that are suffering. These are the youths that were promised, that signed social contracts with President Hakainde Hichilema. And he told them, you no longer be Jerabos, you'll be small-scale miners. Okay? And when these youths, through their struggles, they discover gold, and they undertake to survive through that particular activity, President Hakainde Hichilema takes guns there, and these youths are killed and buried in those pits. And the numbers that are reported are reduced. These are the people that we're speaking about. And the parents of those youths who are killed in that manner, the parents of those youths who are treated in that manner, are the real opposition that President Hakainde Hichilema is supposed to be worried about.
You might be saying that, but we have heard the president and even his senior officials, they've been talking about they have scored. There's even this slogan, if you have heard about it, they are saying Kwenyu, meaning they have scored and they're ticking. They have talked about, allowances for students, free education, and many more other issues that they're talking about. They're saying they have scored. And so even if we are saying, and somehow they're saying, President Hakainde Hichilema has no opposition, he has already won the 2026 general elections. What is your reaction?
Yes, maybe. I'm sure by now you'd have discovered the meaning of Kwenyu. If you haven't.
Kwenyu, it means just they are ticking, they are Nabachonga.
Okay, but I'll tell you the real meaning of Kwenyu.
Okay.
The real meaning of Kwenyu is making small achievements seem big, or a small project seem very big. That's the meaning of Kwenyu. Because why would you do
They're saying from 1.6 million CDF now increased to 40 million. They're saying that is Kwenyu.
Yes, so I'll come to that. So okay. It fits perfectly within the definition of Kwenyu.
Okay.
Kwenyu is making small achievements look like major achievements. If I take you to the airport, I don't have to show you anything. It's you who's going to say Kwenyu, not me, who was the minister. Are you with me? Because it's visible. Huh?
Okay.
You understand? But if the airport was very small, I need to say, come, Kwenyu. And then I show you. You understand? So that it looks big. Okay? But if it's already big, there's no need for me to. If I take you to Kazungula Bridge, I don't have to show you. You yourself, when I just say, let's go and see what we have done, it's you who's going to say, wow. Are you with me? That's the difference. The flyover bridges around Lusaka, I don't have to direct your eyes to that. As you are driving over, you're going to compliment and say, wow, this is good. Yeah, so imagine if President Lungu, may so rest in peace, was the one to use Kwenyu. What word would he use? You know what I mean? Huh? It's maybe Kwenyu plus. Are we together? I want you to compare the small projects under Kwenyu and the projects that President Lungu did silently. So in leadership, when you do something and you're the person congratulating oneself, you should know there's a problem. If you're the one who is explaining what you have done, then there's a problem. When we built the airports, these 3 big airports, KK, Harry Mwanga Nkumbula, and Simon Monsaka Pwepwe, CDF was at 1.6. Okay? Yeah, but when there's 40 million CDF, the Kwenyu is revolving around small toilets in Kwacha and 1x3 classroom blocks and so on. So, Zambians are much more intelligent than that. You know what I mean? It's Kwenyu now. Small projects. President going to commission a boho. That's Kwenyu. You understand? As an MP, I never commissioned a boho. I left it up to the councillors. My councillors did that because there were bigger projects that I could commission. So you see, in leadership, you don't close people's eyes and believe you are the wisest, and then you direct your eyes to them. There's nothing President Hakainde Hichilema and his government have done in the past 4 years that we in the PF would really say, wow. Okay, because of our background. Obviously, they could have done one or two things. But in terms of scale, we have to know that there's very little that they have done. So maybe if you've been following Parliament, closely, one of my MPs in the name of Simumba, Lucas Simumba,
from Nakonde, yes.
Honorable Simumba asked the Vice President a very straightforward question. He said, Madam Vice President, you've been approving very big budgets. And in the past 4 years, you had approved budgets of almost 900 billion. I want you to follow this very closely. The UPND, except for the 2026, up to 2025, they had approved budgets of up to 900 billion kwacha. In the same period, under the PF, we had done about 470 billion kwacha. So he asked a question, with this 900 billion, can you just tell us 2 major projects that you've done? And the Vice President could not answer. So I want you to refocus. A PF with 470 billion, all these projects that we're talking about. And we're talking about over 1,000 secondary schools countrywide. Huh? And we're not talking about 1 by 3 classroom blocks, maybe. I want you to differentiate this. These are full secondary schools, boarding schools across the country. Okay, and the size of these secondary schools, if you go there, you think they're universities. The UPND with a jump of 1.6 to 40 million, 900 billion versus 400 billion, they're doing 1 by 3 classroom blocks. The Vice President could not answer a question. 2 projects that you've done. Simply none. Okay? So when they say they have done up to 95%, the reminder to the Zambian people, this is a danger. President Hakainde Hichilema simply said, "Epo mpelele panopene na pela mano ya pela na filwa fiampesha." If you voted him back into power, he's saying he only owes you 5%. Now, 95% means load shedding of up to 15 to 20 hours. It means fertilizers in Medas. That's 95% performance. Okay? It means fuel at 30 kwacha. He has performed up 90%. Fertilizer at 1,200. He has performed. So, you know, when your leaders speak, I want to call upon Zambians. Take time to analyze what your leaders say. What they said yesterday, what they say today. If what he has done is up to 95%, the poverty levels in the rural areas now have gone up to 80%. The poverty levels in the urban areas are over 60%. And the president says, I've performed over 95%. You must be very worried. If the president wanted to be voted into power, he must first of all come before the Zambian people, tender an apology to the Zambian people. Banensha ishive. Fianale tonton kanya. Vamenali kuganiza vyasiva mene. I've never been a president before. I was fooled by my advisors. Inchito ni olimba. But ni person kon chance because the performance yanga ilipa 25%. 75% zaona kusogolo. The Zambian people may give him a chance.
But you have to understand. I hope you've been following the president. He's been saying on many platforms that he can't rule just for one term, and he's been using the word "iconomani." I can't. You know, he's been saying this several times that he was in opposition for 20 years and he can't be there just for 5 years. And now, just yesterday, at Terari, he was telling people in Southern Province there that if he's voted out, the people in Southern Province will suffer. What do you think about his comment or his remark?
So maybe because I grew up in the village, we always speak in parables. Ichibe mbachitila, ichibe lumbwe atinina, ichibe lumbwe atika. Ichibe lumbwe atinina, ichibe lumbwe atika. My advice to my big brother, President Hakainde Hichilema, is that he must first of all reflect and understand that he is president today because the people of Zambia voted for him. The same people of Zambia, aba baninike, aba yabele lumbwe chechatinina, ebenga mwebatika. That icon man is just one vote. That's just one vote from him. Are you with me? If Zambians say icona, it doesn't matter what it does. President Hakainde Hichilema must understand that icona he's using today is because 2.8 million Zambians said yes. They gave him the power. The same power that he uses to command the police.
But have you ever heard him saying icona, man? That's
what I'm saying. I'm saying his icona, he should not think his icona is very strong. His icona can only be as strong as the people support it. When the people withdraw their support, no matter how deep his voice will be when he's saying icona, man, he will be removed. He will be removed. Are we together? So for me as a leader, I understand one thing, it's all about the people. It's all about the people. If the people say yes, then you are a leader. The power that we exercise. You see, what should not fool leaders is that when they sit in leadership positions, they believe that they're omnipotent and all-powerful. That power belongs to the people. They can take it in a single day. So President Hakainde Hichilema, in saying he doesn't want to leave power, he must go back to his promises and attend to those promises to garner support. And that support is what can keep him there. So what is icon?
So what is your interpretation when you hear President Hakainde Hichilema yesterday at Terari was saying, if he's voted out of power, the people who serve the province will suffer? What is your interpretation?
President Hakainde Hichilema should stop using that language. He should stop at once to use that language. There is nothing wrong with our brothers from Southern Province. Many of our families are married into, our brothers and sisters into Southern Province. My own brothers are married, have got wives from there. My nephews, my sons, we are one Zambia, one nation. This regionalism that is brought about by President Hakainde Hichilema must stop. We must condemn that with the contempt that it deserves. It's high time President Hakainde Hichilema started using a language that will unite the nation. A statesman, a president cannot speak in the manner that the president has been speaking. President Hakainde Hichilema should understand that Southern Province is part of Zambia. Tongas, Ilas, Tokale, and all those are my brothers and sisters. They are Zambians, first of all. So the reason why President Hakainde Hichilema should be voted out of power is because of some of these things that you're talking about, the language that he's using there. He would want to isolate. He would want to pretend he is the only one who cares about people from a particular region. That is wrong. That is wrong. There are farmers in those regions who have not been paid. There are people who are suffering just like the people in Mporokoso. So as a leader, you should not use divisive language. President Hakainde Hichilema must desist from that. This is a united Zambia, one nation. We have lived as such from time immemorial. This is the very first time in our history where citizens have become overly conscious about their ethnicity. Maybe. From the time, I've seen a young man and so on, until now, when you're in a group of friends, nobody ever asked you what tribe you were. Nobody. It doesn't matter what name that you had. This is the very first time where you're in a group, people are saying, Wakui Saudia, Afmakui Saudia. That is wrong. That is un-Zambian. Every Zambian must condemn that. My assignment, if I'm voted in as president, number one assignment is to unite this country. That's my number one assignment. Because the country is divided.
But President Hakainde Hichilema has been very clear and categorical on various platforms. He's been calling for unity. He's been calling for, he's been talking about one Zambia, one nation.
You as a media, you have a job to do. You have a very big task to do. Because if President Hakainde Hichilema is talking about unity in one breath, because he's in a meeting at State House, When he goes to Southern Province, he says, when I come, if I lose power, you will suffer. It can be used by the same mouth. You will not come to me today and tell me that President Hakainde Hichilema is preaching unity when he says that at Intercontinental Pamozi at State House. But when he goes to Southern Province, he says to people, all of you will suffer, like the way you never used to go to Lusaka. Where? Can he give us one example where there was ever a roadblock against the people of Southern Province? It's very, very unfortunate. He has repeatedly used that. So what that tells you is that his campaign, when there are no cameras, he was convincing people to say, when you go to Lusaka, they're going to do this to you. This has been a free country. I served in the cabinet of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. We had brothers and sisters from Southern Province, Northwestern Province, Western Province. We mingled freely. Honorable Mwakalombe, Jafel Mwakalombe, he comes from Bantubotatwe. He's my friend, he's been my friend not only now. We've been friends from time immemorial. Hamukale, if you call Hamukale, I would go to Hamukare's house, Hamukale will come to my house at any given time. Garin Kombo, Mwetwa, those have been my friends. When we're in power, in case they haven't told their president, those colleagues would come to my office freely. I declared to my president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, those are my friends. They could walk in and out of my office freely without maybe, much ado.
But Zambians as citizens, Zambians as just as a people, they're united. But what is it that when it comes to issues of politics, that's when we hear issues of tribalism, issues of division?
No. You're not being fair when asking that
question. Because
you should say...
I'm bringing this statement because Zambians,
I want you to
as a people...
Yes. You should say Zambians as a people have always been united.
You're right. That's what I'm trying to say.
But now...
I'm not going to use the word now.
Use the word now. If you're going to be truthful, use the word now. You should say, why is it... I've made a statement. I said, you must ask yourself one question. That why is it that now, in the very first time in our history, that citizens have been overly conscious. Citizens have been overly conscious about their ethnicity. When I was growing up, my friends could be listening now. My childhood friends were Munalula, they're still alive. Mwemba Momba, Hambwalu, Chimunya Mwinga, Joe Weupe, Alex Mwalula, Zikalo Jere, Akawondo Munalula. These are like my brothers up to today. Friendship of over 40 years. There is never a time when we wanted to look over our shoulders to wonder what tribe, each one of us was.
So why today?
Because of the leader. You've got the answer. You're the one who's telling me that he was in Southern Province telling the people there to say, if I lose power, you're going to suffer. This is the answer. You've got the answer for me. You know, if I'll tell you this. For there to be development, the governed and the governors have got to rise to some level.
Right.
You as the governed, the ruled, you as a citizen, if you fail to face the truth, you circumlocate and kick corners because you think that Shamoneke Wino, we must call out wrongdoers. In this particular case, the wrongdoer is President Hakainde Hichilema because he's using a language that is not befitting the Christian nation.
Quickly, just I want just a comment on the issue of the kwacha. The kwacha has been somehow rated as one of the best performing currencies in Africa, and we have seen that the kwacha right now is around 19 kwacha to $1. And this is one thing that President Hakainde was talking about in terms of ensuring the kwacha appreciates. What is just your comment on that one? Just quickly before we invite our callers. I can see my directors are busy telling me to invite the callers.
When I was growing up, my father told me one thing. He told me not to celebrate small victories.
Are you saying, is it a small victory? Kwacha was around somewhere 28. It's now 19.
Yeah, you see, the kwacha doesn't reduce or increase from nowhere. There are certain fundamentals that are behind, the reduction or increase of exchange rates. So you must go behind the kwacha and understand what is responsible for its strength. If you discover that the miners are paying taxes, that's why, there's a lot of dollars on the market and it has gained some strength, then you'll agree with me that you don't celebrate small victories, because there's no sustainable reason. We don't think that strength to be sustained. Yeah, so that's the reason why we should just watch and wait for it to go back to its original strength.
People are saying Wakule Cafe Bali, looking at the kwacha the way it is appreciating, and they're saying Mwaume sana.
I think you've misunderstood the Zambians. Wakule Cafe means tomfwa in this particular case. Don't misunderstand people. People are saying Wakule Cafe umuntu ingachita ignore a judgment. Umuntu achita ignore judgment. Umuntu wa Southern Province amkwe abantu in a Christian nation at mukachulanga na alusa. Zambians have said Wakule Cafe tomfwa. So don't misunderstand the Zambians.
Right, this is your governance platform on Christian Nation FM. This morning, we are privileged to feature Honorable Mundubile, Member of Parliament for Mporokoso. At the same time, he is an aspiring presidential candidate under the PF. It is that time that you can call us and let's hear your thoughts. Please be sober as you call, and remember just to use sober language as you call us. I hope you've been following our conversation. You can now call us and join us in our conversation on 077 77 60811. 077 77 60811. Let's hear from you. If you can call us, we'll be more than glad to hear from you. So let's hear from you if you can call us on those numbers. So once again, the number you are using is 077 7760811. Do we have our first caller? Yes, we have.
Hello.
Good morning and welcome to Christian Nation FM.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you, sir?
Your name, sir. Go straight. Your name and your concern, your question.
We are talking to Shimindi Jackson from Mateo.
Mr. Jackson, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, how are you?
Mr. Jackson, we
We know on that.
how are you managing to be okay in this economy, Jackson? You must tell me.
Hello. I'm just have this concern.
Yes, Jackson.
Why is it that most of you politicians, political leaders, don't just come together and get together and put this country forward? And because it seems you have ideas to make this country better, but if you are all fighting and not thinking together ahead, who's going to suffer? Our grandchildren, which is us. So please, as political leaders, let's be sober up and put our political differences behind and develop this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackson, for your call. He is going to respond to that. He is calling for unit of purpose, opposition. We have another caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning to you. How are you?
I'm fine. You're talking to Mlenga within Sakanyuka Sama.
Okay, Mr. Mlenga, go ahead. Your question, your concern, your opinion.
Yeah, I'm able to tell our president. What do you want to paper my right? No, but PF is what if the military. So I wanted you to confirm from that.
Mwachita wino wawe pusha na chafa kubepusha nomba mwa mjipushako.
Akawa to ask our president.
Bala askwa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. He's making reference to the statement which was made yesterday by Professor Dan Pule that the PF has been removed from the Tonse Alliance. I think that is the issue there. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Mr. Moderator?
Very well, very well. Welcome to Christian Nation FM. Your name, your concern, your opinion, your question.
This is Mr. Choka.
Where are you?
Yes. Calling you within Lusaka.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. My question is, I just want to make a request from you.
From who? Me or President Mundubile?
Yeah, first I want to request from you, the moderator.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just want you, if you can put a recording for the president where he was speaking yesterday, where he said those people from Southern Province
will suffer.
They must vote for him because if they don't, they will be beaten. I want you to repeat that, to put that record on radio so that maybe I missed it.
Okay.
Because for me, I haven't heard the president say people from Southern Province, if you don't vote for me, you'll be beaten. But on that message,
well, I think the question that I had asked, which was a concern from colleagues, was that the president was talking about if he's voted out of power, the people of Southern Province will suffer, and not necessarily to say they'll be beaten, but they will suffer if he's voted out of power.
Yeah, hello?
I'm saying, did you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The president was talking about if he's voted out of power, the people in Southern Province, they will suffer and not necessarily to be beaten.
Yes, on that one, that's where I missed the word people from Southern Province, they will suffer.
Yes, that's an issue. Not that they are going to be...
I missed the word Southern Province because the president, I've been always hearing whenever, even if he goes to...
So let me ask you a question before you go ahead. Did you listen to or watch his rally yesterday where he was in Choma there, golf club, where he was addressing the people? Did you listen to him or you didn't listen to him? I did not watch from the TV, but okay. I heard, I was listening from the radio. I can encourage you that you can, it's still there, it is online. You can listen, you can watch via Facebook page, so you can watch.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Okay. Do you want us to play? Do you want us to play for you?
Yeah, that's what I requested. Okay. Now, what I wanted to clarify, or maybe to, because I have been hearing the president, even if he goes to Copper Belt, he has been telling the people that if you vote us out again, do you want to return back from the situation where you were beaten?
Okay.
I have been hearing the president, even if he goes to Eastern Province, he has been saying those words.
Okay.
Do you want to vote us out? Do you want to go back to the situation whereby people, they were playing pangas everywhere? Okay. Do you still want to go back?
Okay, I hear you. We hear you now. Go ahead now. In conclusion, what is your take? Okay, you're done. All right. So let's hear from you as well if you're watching us. Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Yes, hello, good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm okay, sir.
Your name and where calling from?
Calling from Lusaka. My name is Maxine Kabika. Calling from Lusaka.
Mr. Who?
Mr. Kabika.
Mr. Kabika, go ahead with your concern, your question.
Yeah. Nzafuna ni fonseko question wa president wa MUNDUBILE.
Yeah, bafunsen.
Yeah. Ya pari yeshewe kamba yewana kamba president kuti vakaluza nishima vakuja vavutika vakuchano kunchi vavutika. For that one kuline okay, it's really good with the one Zambia, one nation. Kuline jawedi really more because we are one.
Niveka? Timu very loud and clear kambani chabi.
Kuri naija ere ngati Mr. MUNDUBILE sanga kambe pareja kuti naive sanga comment as bad because I remember pewe nachoka kuchano kumariro kuja kuchani ku place ya PF kuja benzo kamba tawe kulibe kuimba manyimbo ya batonga kulibe kuyaimba. So for that nanga Mr. MUNDUBILE anga comment po bwanje.
Okay, yes, head is going to comment. He has taken note. Thank you very much, Mr. Kabika. Let's see if you can take 2 more calls, and then I give the microphone to our guests this morning, and I guess maybe we can also give you we can get another set of callers. Good morning.
Hello, Mawombe. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and welcome to 2026. This is the chambers.
Vamunduvile, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Mkai.
Vamunduvile lesale mpala.
Kanave samlo, kanatote.
Ishna yandine Dominic ndi kuno kumunali.
Konkanya nipo ba Dominic.
Vamunduvile ikatishanyeni n'abanenu. Kuiva mwa kupasa na ifyo mule tontonkanya muli wa opposition. Opposition ikalamba nifofwe bali kunse. Fwe kala chalo, fwe bali pita mukuchula. Abo bale ibe party ota kuli opposition. Balabe no babikire pacha mbaso. Eba fuire okubafunyapo. Nga babomba bali no kubabwekeshapo. Tuise kuna nifalela ndatyo kwacha nkwaina ile kitabu ino sana.
Iri pa 19 kwacha bushina muimona. Iri pa 19.
Ukumona ifofina kuti aba pa 19 kwali bane mingalato. Ubunga buli pali 300. Ubungo bwa owo twalishita pa 130. Mingalato kuti abombe ofine. Nomba mwipusha abantu efe balekala. Bushe ife yaba pa $9 yaba pa 19. Bushe abantu balelya $1 yoyine. Nango abantu bwasho balepitamu yo 19. Ile basobera ama problems. Bantu ubunga bwa Afrika pali 300. Ubungo basangire pa 130. Babombe shefe pakwe bati kwenyu ikabombe. Mwalisho balanda ati abakalita balanda. Abakali milimo shabo eshi balandira. Nomba eshi balandirako. Efe namona kwati ina mukukula kwandi. Nalimona po kwati omuntu munangani ala itasha ukutasha apali minyo munangwe atina mwonefe tubombele kanshe na tatana kwa hiyo
ati mwene nikazungula bridge efe twapa
file chitika imilimo yakaena abantu ebo baleta shambetiro mpashwa wose ndani muchuboti baletira ati nibachakolwa abantu abalekolwa ebasha banshike finpifu kubifya kubati nanumba line tutiri tulefitamba nomba abashire nobwalwa tapule fimona nishi chirishani kanshe iyo natasha mkwaye wabombe bule wa mundubile please twapapata ikatishanyeni pakwe bati mulubule ichalo lepta mwakakana natasha mkwaye wabombe
chalo chaba kwenyu wa Dominic natote.
Mr. Dominic from Munali, thank you very much for your call. Pele niko banamayo na bena batumeko. This program is it's supposed to be inclusive, and so we have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Lusaka.
Your name, sir?
Uganda. Yes.
Your name?
My name is Frederick Waria.
Mr. Waria, go ahead, sir. Mr. Frederick Waria.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
President Mundubile.
Frederick Waria, Mauka Bwanji.
Twabuka fe bwino tuli babemba mkwaye.
One Zambia to mixer.
Mkwaye. Twabuka kapotuo.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
My question to the president. By the way, you are my president, my upcoming president.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So my question to you is about PF status in Tonse, and then also about your internal politics as PF. I see that you don't seem to be together, and that is worrying me so much. Please shed light on that so that we know what is happening and we are confident.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. We are happy that Lady Tambo, all the way from the UK, United States, also she's listening. Right, let me give you the number once again. She wants to get in touch. I didn't maybe yes, like some people have missed. They didn't get the number. So, but for now, let me just give the number, and I will allow my guests to respond to some of the. Okay, we seem to have a caller. My directors are busy. The phone is buzzing. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is Mwamba Evans from City Market.
Good to know that.
President Mundubile.
Mwamba Evans, mwashukeni.
Awe, invested kuno ku City Market. You are explaining things very well. So, ukamba kwanga kwakwe bati kambiri mwakamba hapo yaba bishop abishopu monga anenze motivation amene balimo. I think sema citizen or wameti maenda kumati ndipo mekumangala opo yatu kambisi. So what vijanga lo mu government maona tivintu vameti chicha. Sivendelana na nani kani? Sivendelana na mitima y'abantu. As a chief in commander, sometimes you just withdraw. Because vima rangiza na bantu yako batoro na interest muri wako sizinga interest. Because ndio kwa metufagira kambisi. Olo kupwera kuma issues ya yenango ya nene mwakambako. Monga kambisi bantu nga bali mu nileve balulinga. Bandimo mululinga so. Olo government nimo mululinga so. Kumangala munga mwani mwizo chaila ba PF so topo wabo mbaba UPND bakamba chikwenu bati sema voters timangala na VR so bani maganiza imo inaise bantu sometimes vimangala bosiana so success futi imazikambira eka noti iwe wamene osita chintu ukwezi ukambe ija isimangala kambiri ni success ya zone so futi wamene niganizira munga imo mkabwerapo kankana chance ya mkabwerapo bamundubira
Ivansi ni mundubile
bamundubira so mkabwerapo kwati nkanyama ya constitution because tukalangana kwati ma public institution na nankane kwati constitution ya tonga iliyosalira because tukalangana ya bit ma position na ino ma politicians so kutivyo vambili vende ilise simachona monga ingala kochovuta because ma institution yenango ndimo muyasonta so sisiya sote abamzaka pokwira ko so that my institution yakakale independence. I think the question yanga olona inango question yakwe bati monga mwana wakambira is bamchosa moni mu alliance. So what is your way forward? Because this is mutima voters silangana pali yakwe bati singa votere bantu amene swali united. Ainga mu forming a government mufunika united whereby ngamuti saving ase bantu muzati saving amusi. Ainga muli divided nona munga saving amusi. So munga kambepo pwani na service kom.
All right, thank you very much. I think for now, let me just put the phone on hold and allow my guests to quickly respond to some of the issues that have come from our callers. I'm sure you were taking notes. Just make a quick response to those callers.
Yes, thank you. Very quickly, I'll start with the last one, Mwamba Evans. Mwamba Evans raises very pertinent issues.
But when a VR?
Yes. So Mwamba na totela sana. If you mwalanda na inefo na ishwa. Mwebe kala chala mweba kasala mwebene. Mwalikwata VAR. Teofine ya watu muletamba. Fiafilanda wa politician. Na ena mkwata VAR mwatambo kuti bati ifila njilwe nifi. That is how we knew that kwenyu means an exaggeration of small projects so that they appear big. It was using VAR. So on the other, what he makes an appeal. He says, once you're in power, can you look at institutions of governance to make sure that one, they're independent? So this draws our attention to something very important. Citizens, ordinary citizens. I'm not taking away from my brother Evans Mwamba, but ordinary citizens have seen that the governance institutions have collapsed. There's nothing going on, and there is need for reforms to try and build confidence in the ordinary citizens. So Mwamba, I want to promise you that one of the things we'll look at very clearly are reforms in the judiciary. Will ensure that we implement strict measures in the manner and the way that judges are appointed, because the performance of judges has been very bad. kaleba ne engatu amfuati bani ba judge n'omubiri waenda. Are you with me? Because of the positions that they held. If you go back, Mwamba, I don't know how old you are. When Kaunda was in power, his son was arrested and charged with murder. Judges sitting in that court convicted Kaunda's son and sentenced him to death when his father was president. So we want to go back and ensure that today...
Can that happen today?
And this is the reason we're saying one of the things that we work on very quickly will be reforms in the judiciary, to ensure that the men and women that are sent to judgeship are people of impeccable repute, people whose fidelity is to the law. When we say fidelity is to the law, nelio mwana wakwe nanguni bululu nanguni nani ifunde ngaliatila nga waipa yo muntu fuile wakakwa. They don't look at the name. They don't go behind and say ni mwanani busheni political symbol nchakwete niskipa ya kala shani afuala. Today's judges, unfortunately, are like that. They will look at bali muchipani bwanji. You can't have a judge like that. So to answer Bamwamba, there will be reforms in the judiciary to make sure that those that were sent to judgeship, when one is said to be a judge, it should be a man and woman who will be able to stand and dispense justice independently. Not only should they be independent in their dispensation of justice, but they should also be seen to be independent. So, Bamwamba, I'm very, very grateful. We also look at the legislature. For one to be Speaker of the National Assembly, we are going to look at reforms that will bring up strict measures to ensure that those that are sent to the position of Speaker should people who are going to be impartial in their discharge of their responsibilities. People who realize the importance and gravity of the position that they hold. People who will understand that the legislature sits at the center of our constitutional democracy, and they should be able to discharge their duties with diligence and independence. So we will be very strict. We'll look at reforms to ensure that measures are put in place. For one to become a speaker, he should be a person that is of impeccable repute. The experiences, we are drawing all this from the experiences that we have today. Yeah, because when you see a speaker dancing, I've been a member of that parliament, and I'm not ashamed to say. I'm actually ashamed to say I'm a member of parliament. Yeah, because I belong to a parliament where a speaker who is supposed to be impartial, a speaker who is supposed to be independent, is seen leaving her seat without bowing to both sides of the house as per tradition. She springs up from her seat and now she's dancing all over the floor. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. So we'll ensure those that are going to sit in that chair should discharge their functions with diligence. That's what I thought I should
there were two calls there. I think even Mwamba is talking about unity of purpose, that you as the opposition, you must unite. What is your take on that issue, and that you've been ejected out of the Tonse Alliance as PF?
So Bamwamba, Bakabika, Bamulenga, and Jackson, they've all talked about unity.
Yes.
Yes, we want to assure you, I'm sure if you've been following social media keenly, you'll agree with me that you are seeing us as leaders sitting together, beginning to talk to each other, to see how quickly we can resolve what may be seen to be internal differences. You see, we must not lose sight of where the problem is. A problem here from Pamo. President Daka in the Ichilema took away the PF. That's what the problem is. If the PF had not been taken away by President Daka in the Ichilema, fearing that it will expose him on his lies, by now that convention would have gone by. Okay? So most of these differences have come because the party that put us together has been taken away by President Daka in the Ichilema. So what is prolonging these discussions and these negotiations is because we're trying to find other ways through alliances and other political formations to see how best we can choose a leader, one who's going to be a flag carrier to go forward. So ba Mwamba Evans, ba Frederick Bwalia, ba Kabika, na ba Mulenga, na ba Jackson. I want to assure you that if we, as you see, tatwapatana yo, tatwapatana mpano no yo, tuwatandashana kutandashanya, go to Alwinda's house, Kafuaya's house, Kafuaya comes to my house, Monday, we're at Monday's house, yesterday, and so on. The only issue has been because the party that brings us together has been taken away by President HH. So the prolonged negotiations, what you're calling infighting, is because we're trying to find the best way to settle on one as a leader. So my assurance to you is that we are focused on your problems. Mwebekala chalo ndefu amwishi vyokuti. Ifo focus yesu. Mwimona kwa tinga bwacho luchelo. Tuikala vyokuti ya tuwala mfuana na nani. Our challenge number one ni load shedding. Okay, na tukwata kwa light the past 1 week. Is it because industries in other countries are on holiday? We want to find out. For how long will this go on? But farmer, we are talking on behalf of the farmers who have not been paid. We are talking on behalf of the miners at Mopani and these other mining houses who are leaving employment. Mumone takuwa be nchito yo. Nchito takuwa ba mchalo. Nga mwasanga miner aleleke nchito lelo on voluntary separation. Ero na ishimono kushibati. Kuliale atakuli nchito. You must understand ukubati kuliale na kukaba. There are bigger problems in the mines kulale womba than kunse. Chalingande ikalafie. A position if kepo wash mine. Chalingande ikalafie. And that is unacceptable. And yet President Akainde Ichilema, he would come in his suit and say, we have sorted out the problem in Opani. And awe, bashmaini waleleke nchito kulaba president. Ekeni kuwepa bantu. Why are they stopping a number of our problems? If the investor you brought is up to the speed, why are people stopping? What we need today are reforms in all these sectors. If you talk about the area of labor, we have to introduce reforms in what we are calling sectoral minimum wage. If you chitika ko mining at mwisho wa maybe fiakutila, the mining houses, palabe nabe ne mama mine, they are not doing mainstream mining. They are subcontracting and outsourcing contractors to do the mining. So vale tino kula pela ma conditions of service. Elo va pela subcontractor. So that subcontractor, out of desperation, he employs desperate miners and pays them peanuts. But what we want to do to help the miners is to be able to say there's a sectoral minimum wage. When there's a sectoral minimum wage for the mining sector, it doesn't matter whether niwe driver waka subcontractor, niwe driver waka driller. If you follow driver ku mine ila ine kalamba, if you allow follow driver kuli subcontractor who protect the plight of our workers in the mining sector. This is what I want by Evans and by Frederick Bwalia to know. We are very focused on to resolve our differences. Yes, so we are also focused on speaking for the Zambian people, because our problems wale pita montayali lole lati mpaka tuko mfuane bamunduwe na bakafuanga bamfuana ila ma problems ekesa chitika. If we focus yes, I want to assure the Zambian people, our focus is you, the Zambian people. Even as we're facing our own challenges, you are not a leader only when you're elected into power. You are a leader the moment you decide to serve the Zambian people. Even as I'm in the opposition, I must have an impact. I must contribute to the welfare of the Zambian people, like the miners that I'm talking about. Abantu besoba lechula, maybe. It's very, very important. We are focusing on looking at the mining sector. Pantu Avena Zambia, they are going to call everybody a thief. But for the first time in the history of this country, the FIC report is showing that $3.5 billion in questionable transactions has left this country. Under the UPND, $2 billion has left this country. Only in 4 years. Party $3.5 billion, party $2 billion, there's 60 billion kwacha, there's 13.5 billion kwacha, there's 5.8 billion kwacha. Takwa tala kuwapo wakabo lala unochalo ngaba le tuteka lelo. Ifwe, abantu fawafilo kuishiwa, wale Twitter tiba PF ni wakabo lala, when under the FIC report, the suspicious transactions were 2 billion kwacha. Mule umfwa, 2 billion kwacha. Now, E 3.5 billion kwacha, if you like, times 20 is 70 billion kwacha. E 2 billion kwacha extra, that's another 40 billion kwacha. Mwabikila pona 20 billion kwacha. You are talking about 150 billion kwacha. Budget ya chalo ituntulo tuwale pangama airport. Why were in these 4 years? Not a single person is going before the SEC. Tapali obale tuwala ku DEC. Indala mashikalamba 150 billion kwacha. Awa sakala nyongo walimu utekole. Isho waiwa. And yet nobody has been reported. Elo mwise mwimelelo musende Hilux ya 50 million kwacha. 50,000 kwacha. Eo muntu apela wa bishop ngobupe. Mwambi kula watakanya. Baka wala la bene. Bale tuka oka walipa microphone. Bale ikunkunsha pafifuwa. And they think we are stupid. They think Zambians are not thinking. They think Zambians can't see. They are allowing mining houses. Mining houses are minings. There's a mine that is mining up to 1 ton of gold every month. And that is not declared anywhere. It's not that the Zambian people who are running this government do not know about this. They know very well that 1 ton of gold is mined and exported every month out of one of our provinces out there. If we were properly taxing these miners, today we will not be suffering to left local farmer. We are failing to build roads, the same roads that they're damaging every day. So I want to assure, I'll make a very quick comment. We have to answer questions.
So I don't know whether you did you answer about the issue of whether you are out of the alliance or not. I think we didn't.
I'm going there because
because I think we have just 2 minutes before we conclude the program.
We have to conclude.
We have to go into the news at 12:30.
Okay, so the issue of the Tonse Alliance, of course, there was an announcement by Tonse that PF as a party was removed from Tonse Alliance, and I think from the explanation that they were given, they were saying what remained in the alliance was the ECL-PF
movement,
a movement that included all party structures across the country, members of parliament across the country, and an array of members. So when you read through, what you're picking from there is that the party has been removed, and of course, as a leader, I made a call to one of the colleagues and said, "But what does this mean?" And he says, "Look, we don't understand PF. Ngatuashile PF as a party. Chavinga can come and say, "Naisa mukista chair Tonse." So he was saying, this is the explanation that the gentleman gave me. I want to be very frank. He says, "Look, all we are saying is that you, as regards the party, resolve the problems, and the party comes back. But as regards the membership, all those who are loyal, we're loyal to ECL. Nobody's isolated." Yeah, so that's the position that I was given.
Right.
Yeah, I could not give any explanation.
Well, I was at that press briefing, and one of the issues was about the legal battles that are going on between the Given Lubinda-led faction and the Chavinga-led faction. So I think what you're explaining is exactly what was said in that press briefing.
No, that's what I was told. So I think that answers, and I'm happy that you also got it from the lion's mouth. So the Choka talked about, I think the request Choka made is very important. What is very disturbing is that when you talk about division, what disturbs me the most? When you talk about pangas, because today they are pangas, it's not the PF that is in power. Today they are pangas. I've been to by-elections in Kawambwa. There were over 4 UPND vehicles full of youths with pangas. Sean Tembo was stabbed in front of the police at the police station by panga-wielding youths. The same thing happened in a by-election in Kapanda. The same thing happened in Pankata. Honorable Emmanuel Mpangata was almost killed in Lukutu in full view of ministers, provincial minister and many other ministers from the UPND by panga-wielding youths. So when President Hakainde Hichilema talks about going back to the days of the pangas, then I realize that I think our president is not in the habit of facing the truth as it comes. Because he is presiding over a party that is wielding pangas every day. So for President Hakainde Hichilema, if Kungo is killed by the UPND, President Hakainde Hichilema will never talk about those people that died as a result of violence. But Congo is a Zambian. It should not only be if one person from a particular region is attacked that it becomes political violence. I've got a young man, a Black Apple. Black Apple was beaten, almost left for dead. But they will never talk about him. Why? Because it doesn't belong to the UPND, or maybe it doesn't come from a particular region. I want to condemn this, Mr. President. There were 2 youths in Kanyama that were killed by UPND youths. When the president is talking about the people that died out of violence, he never refers to those people. When you're talking about justice and the rule of law, the youths that will talk about President Lungu, we want to circumcise him, want to kill him, they don't break the law. Okay? But an MP, our young MPs, who refer to that conversation, they refer to that statement, are the ones that go to jail. I want you to understand that we are faced with a very difficult situation in our country, where we have a 2-tier system. Okay? The laws only apply to certain citizens and not others. And yet, like Evans Mwamba said, abantu baletamba ichintu chimwe chine chalanda oyo temulandu iyo. Okay? The only example the president will talk about is Chibulo. Nga Kungo bamuipeye by UPND cadres in full view of other people. There are many other people that have died like that by panga wielding youths. So when they talk about going back to the era of pangas, ayabalesenda yena nshishi wenga mabopen, but they look like pangas to me. Okay? The same pangas, it's the same pangas, but President Hakainde Hichilema, deliberately, he looks at them maybe as bopens or whatever it is. No, we can't run a country like that. I think we need a leadership.
If we have to end the program, Mr. President, Honorable MUNDUBILE, I want to just summarize under 2 minutes. If we are to analyze our topic, which is the political environment and the rule of law under the UPND administration, what's the future of the opposition in Zambia? What would be your summary of our topic?
Yeah, I think the first point that I make is that we need a leadership that is sincere and honest. For this country to go forward, we need to change leadership. We must demand, the people of Zambia, must demand a higher standard for leadership. There must be a higher standard. You need men and women that are going to take up those offices, be able to implement the dictates of the law, the black letter and text of the Constitution, the black text of the law. Men and women who are going to face you, they're going to face you as Zambians to tell the truth. If leaders are the first, or leaders are in the habit of not telling the truth, then the country goes nowhere. Because all they do is hide behind the lies and believe that they've solved the problem. Leaders who are full of excuses, leaders who go 4 years back and want to make Zambians believe that the jump from 1.6 million CDF to 40 million kwacha is all that they needed. And they forget to tell the Zambian people that the 40 million kwacha per constituency only amounts to 5 billion kwacha, which is only 2.3% of the budget. It means nothing. A leadership that do not want to talk about the 200 billion, what they are doing with the 200 billion, but they want the whole country to focus on what they're doing with the 5 billion. We need a leadership that has integrity, a leadership that will stand tall, a leadership that will not stand and begin to control the courts. I give you an example of one Kenneth Kaunda under one party state that still allowed the courts to discharge their functions with diligence, where we saw a son of a president convicted and sentenced to death when the father was a sitting president. We need a leadership that is going to be truthful to their citizens and in the manner that they discharge their functions. So the answer to all those problems is that the UPND has to be voted out of power in 2026. They have failed to manage the agriculture sector. They have failed to manage the youths. They They have failed to manage the mines. Governments are there to solve problems for its people and not give excuses. You can't have a government that only ensures that the miners, the foreigners, are the ones that walk away with hefty profits at the expense of its citizens. A government that does not care for its citizens should be removed from power and replaced with a leadership that is going to be focused on Zambia and Zambians. So that is the Zambia, and that is the vision that we offer. I love Zambia, and I love Zambians. The starting point is Zambia. The end point is Zambia. It's about the Zambians.
Honorable MUNDUBILE, I want to thank you very much for having taken time from your busy schedule. It has been really a struggle to get hold of you to come on our program. The people have been demanding to bring you on the program, but we are thankful that you took time from your busy schedule to come to Christian Nation FM, and specifically on the Chambers, the governance platform. I know you have a lot of things that you want to talk about, and we have even overrun our program, and we're hoping to bring you specifically to come and talk about what you want to do for the Zambian people if you are to become the president of this country. So we're looking forward to seeing you coming back again on this platform. I want to thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mebin. Like I said, I love Zambia and I love Zambians.
There we go. Dear listener, that will do for today's edition of The Chambers, a governance platform on Christian Nation FM. We've been talking to Honorable MUNDUBILE, Member of Parliament for Mpolokoso constituents, and he is an aspiring candidate for the PF. That is a presidential aspiring candidate. This has been your presenter, maybe Augustine Katungulu. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your calls, and thank you very much for also joining us on various platforms, on our Facebook page, Zeno FM, and other platforms. On behalf of my directors, Jeff Chakanga, and that's Jeff Chanda and Frank Chakanga, not forgetting our executive director, Father Laston Robert Lupupa. We are saying bye-bye until next week, when we come back with yet another exciting of the Chambers. Bye-bye for now, and God bless you.
Please be aware that the views and opinions expressed on